Hello, guys. Welcome to the Nourish with Renata podcast. And today I'm answering one of the most common questions when it comes to our cyclical health. And that is, why do I feel like I hate everyone before my period? This is actually a really simple question to answer. And the answer is because of the changes in your hormone levels. So, in roughly the week to 2 weeks before your period begins, we start to see a change in your estrogen and progesterone levels. Now, this occurs normally. We would want to see this during your cycle, especially if you're not becoming pregnant. So, overall, throughout that week to 2 weeks, we should see a steady decline in your estrogen levels and progesterone levels. But this decline can also come with a myriad of side effects known as PMS. And one of those PMS symptoms is actually rage. You might also experience things like increased anxiety, frustration, perhaps even having very sensitive or heightened emotions during this time. And that is typically something that we call common, but not necessarily normal. There is a difference there. So if you're experiencing rage, really the reason why that is occurring is because of the change in these hormone levels that may actually be more significant than what we would want them to be. When these hormone changes are more minimal, women, generally speaking, don't have as much rage, or they might even perhaps have no PMS symptoms at all, which is honestly what we want to aim for with changes in things like our diet and in our lifestyle. So, if you're experiencing that rage in the lead up to your period, here's a few things that I would look at. Number one, I would look at your progesterone levels. Now, progesterone is the hormone that usually gets increased if you become pregnant, but obviously, like we mentioned, in that week to 2 weeks after you ovulate and before your period. If you're not pregnant, progesterone will slowly decline. Now, if that progesterone level drops too quickly or too early, that's when we start to experience things like significantly lower mood, energy levels. You might have increased fatigue, and of course, you might have that increase in rage. Now, progesterone is actually a really important hormone in lots of different ways, other than just helping you to become and stay pregnant. If that progesterone level is helped out by changes in the foods that we eat and the amounts of those foods, we can actually find that the rage lessens. And we also find that we have less high anxiety, less mood instability, etc. So I would look at a few different foods to help you to increase your progesterone levels through the use of powerful nutrition. Number one is to make sure you have plenty of complex carbohydrates. For most women, they typically find that in this luteal phase, the week to 2 weeks before your period, they have increased hunger. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. This is actually a sign that your body needs some extra nourishment, particularly in the form of complex carbohydrates. So, complex meaning it is a slower breakdown of energy into the body versus fast carbs like refined, highly processed carbohydrates that give you a big spurt of energy right away, but then your energy levels drop off pretty quickly afterwards. So complex carbohydrates are things like brown rice, sweet potatoes, oats, etc. They have a much slower release of energy into the body and they help you to feel fuller as well. Not only that, many of these complex carbohydrates contain some additional nutrients that are really needed for progesterone improvement, such as in sweet potatoes, they're a great form of magnesium. The magnesium is fantastic for progesterone. And we can get magnesium from a few different things, such as seeds. So, nuts and seeds are great ways to get extra magnesium. Also, dark leafy greens. We mentioned sweet potatoes. And of course, one of my favorites, dark chocolate. So, these foods can be really helpful for putting some additional magnesium into your body, which boosts your progesterone level, as well as helps all of your muscles to relax. Many women find that increased magnesium helps with things like PMS cramps too. So, utilizing food, particularly like we have talked about, that help to boost your progesterone levels, so great for minimizing that ragey feeling that you're experiencing. And the other piece of this is making sure you have excellent stress management techniques in place. What we found out is that after ovulation and before our next period, that's when we're really much more affected by stress. So we're much more sensitive to any form of stress that might be occurring in life, whether it's from relationships, finances, jobs, etc. All of those forms of stress actually do have a significantly higher impact on our bodies. So during this time, it's really important to make sure you have effective self-care and stress management techniques planned in your schedule. You'll notice that if you do this, your stress levels decrease. And as a result, your PMS, especially rage, will decrease as well. Cortisol is one of the most important hormones in our body. We can utilize it in really good ways. For instance, we do experience some form of stress when we're working out, building muscle, etc. But it's when we have that prolonged stress or chronic stress, or even during the latter half of the menstrual cycle, when we are much more sensitive to stress, that we want to be aware that stress management techniques are our best friends here. So, if you have any questions about PMS symptoms as well as what to do about it, make sure to drop them in the comments below. I also want to make sure that I answer all of your questions regarding how these PMS symptoms might be affecting your fertility. And this is something that not a lot of people talk about. So, if you do notice that you tend to have a lot of these mood related symptoms during or before your period, this is a great sign to us that fertility may be compromised as well. When you have that low mood, when you have that rage, once again, that progesterone level is low, potentially lower than what we would want it to be. If progesterone is low, this means it may become more challenging for you to maintain or hold a pregnancy. So these are things we want to start to correct earlier, especially if you are thinking about becoming pregnant in the upcoming months or years. The more that we're able to balance your hormones and have better cycles, the better and faster you'll be able to conceive naturally too. So all of those foods that we discussed and the stress management techniques will help you to boost your progesterone, not only to improve your PMS symptoms such as rage, but also will help your fertility journey moving forward as well. Okay, I hope that you gain some really great nuggets of wisdom that you can implement in your cyclical health today. And as always, if you have any questions, drop them below. I'll see you in the next episode.